I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, in my house on Grand Avenue in Fairmount, and then 3910 Latham Avenue. Well, I lived in that house with my mother and father, and we rented 2 rooms out upstairs to people named Dot and Irv, and I lived in there with my sister and brother. My brother was younger than I am, and my sister was older than I am, and we all lived in the same house, and we all got along very good. My sister's name was Virginia, and my brother's name was Elmer, and they called him Mo, M-O-E. I used to like to ride my bicycle with my friends, and we used to like to go out to Western Hills High School and play knot-hole baseball, and that's what I used to like to do. We did a lot of playing out in the street back then. The school that I went to was a small school named Resurrection. It had 8 grades. It was a Catholic school, and they had all nuns there. We wore what they call knickers and long stockings and a shirt and tie to school every day. And when we would forget a tie, my sister would have to march us home, and we'd have to get a tie and go back to school. When I started driving, I was 15, and we used to like to go riding up and down Glenway Avenue and watch for the girls, you know. And the cars that I had back then when I was young was a 36 Ford, and I had a 40 Chev convertible. And when I got out of the service, I had a 32 Chevrolet, and I had a Model A Ford, and I had a 48 Chev, and a 62 Chev, and a Plymouth, and a Oldsmobile, and a Buick. I was in the United States Marine Corps. I served from 1950 to 1953. I was in during the Korean War. I was married in 1952 in Fairmount in a church named St. Leo's, and we left from their church after we got married and then went to North Carolina and lived there for about a year and had Michael. And then Michael and your mother came home before I got out of the service, not too much longer. And then I came out of the service and come home to be with him. The hardest time when I was in my life was when I was in boot camp in the United States Marine Corps. And then after that it was to get a job and start out at the bottom and work myself up. And after I went to work, they used to call me Whitey because my hair. I have 4 children, and their names are Michael, Anna Marie, Joe, and John. Mike, my oldest son, was a very good boy, and he did a lot of things in his younger life. Like he had a little rabbit one time, and what he did was cut the rabbit's tail off and put it in the bread box. And a couple other things he did around the house there when he was young. It was kind of embarrassing. He was putting the sidewalks in one time out in the front of the house, and at nighttime they left their broom there, and at that time they used to put lighting pots out so people wouldn't walk on the sidewalk. So Mike went out there and put a broom on the top of there and burnt the broom up, and it belonged to the contractor, so I had to replace that broom. My story about my daughter Ann, and I was not much of a dancer, but they belonged to the Girl Scouts, and they had a dance. It was a square dance, and that was really tough for me because I didn't know how to square dance, and that was my story with Ann. And besides that, I used to ride her to school in my truck when she was in high school, and she was a very nice girl. My son Joe, he used to like to play with small cars that had motors in them and assemble them himself and ride them up down the street. And he used to like to make outside, him and his boyfriends would make a nice shack back in the woods. And then when he got older, he got into the electrical business, and that's what he is today, electrician. And there came John. And John was a nice little boy. He went to school, and we used to play some games and did some sled riding around the house. And he played football for a while. And he went to a Catholic grade school, and then he went to Oak Hills High School. The hardest time in my life was to get enough money to buy a house and a car and raise my children. And that was about the hardest thing I had to do in my life. Daddy-o, Daddy-o. The most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me, I used to like a woman named Bonnie Lou, and she was a singer. And one night I went to a wedding, and she was there, and they dared her to come over and ask me to dance with her, and I did. And I was really embarrassed getting out there on a dance floor and dancing with a singer. My wife said my face was every color in the rainbow. The best times in my life? Well, the best time is in my life is when my 4 children start doing things, like having first communions, and getting married, and getting jobs, and being good, and getting good schooling. What I would tell my grandchildren, to be good in school and to work themselves up to a good learning so they can get a good job, and when they get older to make money and have a nice family. You got a lot down there?